The four toolbars at the top of the live interface contain some very important functionality that you'll be working with throughout this course. In this movie, we're going to take a quick look at that functionality, including some of the most important elements in Live's toolbars. I have a loop here on my first audio track, and I'm going to use this to show you some of the functionality in Live's toolbars. Starting off by starting my loop, I can use what's called the tap tempo here to tap out a new tempo with my mouse and raise and lower the tempo of my live set. Next we have the tempo field where I can click and drag down to lower the tempo and click and drag up to raise the tempo. I can also click directly on the tempo field, type in a new tempo, and hit the enter or the return key. The next feature is new in Live 7, and this is the nudge down and nudge up buttons. I can quickly lower the tempo of my live set temporarily, or raise it temporarily. And this is in place when you're working with live musicians. You can quickly raise or lower the tempo to match the performance of live musicians. Next we have the time signature numerator and the time signature denominator. Again, I can click and drag up, click and drag down to change my time signature. We're going to be working in 4/4 time throughout this course, so we'll leave this as it is. The global groove amount works in conjunction with Live's clip functionality, and we'll be looking at that later when we get into working with clips and setting different values for different functionality within clips. The metronome button turns the metronome on and off. With the metronome on, playback or recording activates Live's click track. You can raise and lower the volume of the click track here with the preview cue volume. The click track is great for any MIDI or audio recording that you want to do. Next we have the follow button, and this is useful in Live's arrangement view. Let me add a loop here. And now watch what happens when follow view is deactivated. I start playback, and if playback goes past the view that's currently visible, I won't see it. Activating the follow, and playback follows along with the current location. I can change the start position in my live set using the arrangement position fields here. Here I'm going to move it to bar 2, start playback at bar 2. As you can see, the play button starts playback of my live set. The stop button stops it. Double-clicking the stop button returns the arrangement position value back to the very beginning. The global record button is used for various recording functions, including recording arrangements, which we'll look at in the arrangements section of this course. Overdubbing is activated for overdubbing with MIDI recording, and we'll look at that in the MIDI recording. The Back to Arrangement button lets me know that there's something different going on between what's happening in my current live set and the arrangement that I've saved. Again, another function that we'll look at when we're looking at creating arrangements. We can go back to the session view here. The quantization menu is also used in conjunction with the clip functionality, and this is for starting and stopping clips at certain points, and we'll look at this when we get into creating arrangements with clips and working with clips. Draw mode has a number of uses. Let's see. Starting off with, let's say we want to create a new MIDI clip, we can go into draw mode and draw our notes. We can still create notes outside of draw mode with draw mode deactivated, but we'll have to double click to do that. Draw mode is also very useful when we get into envelope editing. Here I am doing some envelope edits in draw mode. When I go out of draw mode, I can create and adjust things by creating what are known as breakpoints. So that's also very useful. It really depends on what kind of functionality you're looking to access. We'll be working in and out of draw mode throughout this course. The key command for activating and deactivating draw mode is Command B or Control B on Windows. We're going to bypass this functionality here. This has to do with punch-in recording and punch-out recording and setting values for that. I will show you the loop switch. Activating the loop switch loops playback of whatever's selected in the arrangement view in what's called the loop punch recording region. So I can begin playback. That's very useful for quickly creating arrangements when working in the arrangement view. Next up we have the computer MIDI keyboard activator. Turning this on lets me use my computer keyboard for MIDI recording, and we'll look at that in the MIDI recording movie. Activating the key map mode switch lets me map out various functions in Live to my computer keyboard. And activating the MIDI map mode switch lets me map out various functions in Live to my attached MIDI controller device, a MIDI keyboard or a device like the M-Audio trigger finger. These indicators let me know that MIDI information is being sent or received, as do these. And we'll look at all of the key mapping, MIDI mapping, and MIDI functionality in separate movies throughout this course. The last two elements in the Live toolbars are the CPU load meter. The CPU load meter lets me know how much of my computer's processor resources are currently being used in my live set. And the hard disk overload indicator lets me know if I've gone too far and have too much going on at once in my live set and have overloaded my hard drive. And in the arranging and exporting movies, we'll be looking at different ways that you can maximize your processor's resources in Live. Let's look at Live's toolbars and some of the functionality that you'll be using throughout this course. Many of these functions will be looked at in closer detail as we proceed through the lessons in this course.